Hello everyone, and it's that time of day again where we're going to be having a look at another new model, which means it's review time, and we have 3 new models to look at. They're not all going to be reviewed in the same video, obviously. They are going to be covered in separate reviews. So, what have we got? Well, we have the Bachmann Pristine BR Black 7F, a Hornby BR Stanier 8F, again also in BR Black, and a standard 4MT tank from Bachmann, also in BR Black. So they're all in BR Black liveries. So, 3 new models to have a look at. Which one are we going to look at first? Ooh, decisions. I think we'll look at the 7F in this review. So, as mentioned in the beginning of the video, we are here to look at the Bachmann 7F. I have already looked at the 7F before, which I did last year, only that one was a weathered version. In this review, we are here to look at the pristine black version. I should also point out that the weathered version is now up for sale on eBay, which I will link in the description of this video. Also, that model was reviewed in the original format of reviews. This model is going to be looked at in the new format of reviews. So it is something different of sorts. Now this model, this particular one I have, is number 53808, which is the one that's preserved on the West Somerset Railway, which I went to back in March for their Somerset and Dorset Gala. And after seeing both preserved 7Fs together, I just had to get a second model. And this one came from S&DJR Models, by the way. So, upon looking at that site, and I saw this one, I just had to have it. Because if I didn't get it, I think I would have been a fool not to. Right, enough with the dilly-dallying. Let's get this model open. So first of all, we take off the outer sleeve. Excuse the tear on the side of the box. That happened when I tried to get the model at the parcel. But I'm not a fan of this packaging because I don't think it's ideal, to be honest. But I'll bring that up later. And on the back we have the brief history of the real locomotive. Then we take out the plastic casing. And now we are free to have a look at the paperwork inside the box. Right, so what do we get? Well, first of all we have the care sheet and instructions for the locomotive. I cannot stress enough how important this is. Do not throw it away, because it's there for a reason. If you lose a part or damage a part, then this is what this sheet is there for, because each part is numbered. So what you do is you get in touch with Bachmann and you ask for the part that you need. Sometimes you might have the part, sometimes you might not. It depends what you're asking for. And also on the back you have the instructions such as running in, lubrication, the curves it's suitable for, fitting on the details, fitting a DCC decoder because this model is DCC ready. It's all the stuff that we are used to seeing basically. And then we have the collector club flyer, the product warranty, maintenance care and service warranty request. So now we remove the outer casing. so we can get to the detail parts in the sealed bag that lie in wait for us. So in the bag we'll get 2 chain link couplings, a vacuum pipe, a brake pipe, and 2 spare detail parts. Well, I think they're spares to go on the tender, because the tender already had these parts on. Not entirely sure what they are, but they're there in the bag anyway. Now normally at this point in the video you would see a clip of me taking the model out of the packaging, but for some reason I can't seem to find the clip anywhere, even though I filmed it. So I don't know what happened there. But anyway, let's move on to the weight. Now this model is very heavy. It has weight in the tender and also there's weight in the loco itself. I do believe in this case the running plate is made of metal and the boiler might be made of metal as well, but I'm not 100% certain on that. But they've compacted as much weight as possible into the model, and that is important because without the weight this model wouldn't be able to pull anything. Hence why traction tyres are now a thing of the past, because they don't use them anymore. Instead they use the weight. Moving on to the detail, so the buffers on the front, they are indeed sprung, so if you like your sprung buffers then they'll make you happy, but for me personally I don't have much care for them. Sticking with the buffers for a while, it is worth mentioning that the one buffer actually, when I first got it, had broke off and it was just floating around in the packaging. So the first thing I did was open the packaging up and glue the buffer back on, and that just shows you that on some occasions that does happen, on the odd occasion, but it also shows you how unideal this packaging is. This is where the polystyrene packaging had an advantage really, because it would protect the models a lot more safer than this plastic packaging does. Hence why I do not like this plastic packaging, because it's not really suitable or ideal for models. On the front buffer beam we have loads of rivets, and you can see the holes for the chain link coupling and brake pipe to go into. Sometimes the holes are too small and so you might have to open them up a bit, but they're there. And also on the running plate you can see the lamp irons that are separately fitted, which is a nice touch, and it's like on the real locomotives. We also can't forget the coupling on the front of the loco, and it is NEM. I think this is the dovetail coupling, I'm not 100% certain on that, but it is there and it is a NEM coupling, so it can be removable. Now moving on to the front pony truck, you can see guard irons just in front of it there, which is a really nice touch, and again it adds to the realism of the model. The cylinders are also nicely detailed, there's a few rivets on them, and also you can just about see in the photograph drain cocks which are already pre-fitted to the model under the cylinders there. They're not painted, but at least they're there. One thing I love about the 7Fs is the unique running plate, how it lifts up above the cylinders, and this has been captured superbly and perfectly on the model, as you can see in this photograph. They've got it smack on. We also have rivets on the running plate as well, as you can see. Now we come on to all the moving parts of the model, being the valve gear, the link motion and the side rods. And I just can't wait to see all that moving. I have seen it move on the other model, but I just can't wait to see it move again, just like on the real thing, because that is just going to be brilliant to see. And also, you can just about see in the photograph the sanding gear just by the driving wheels there. You can also see under the boiler there, which is also worth mentioning, and I do like that touch. It's nice that you can actually see some daylight under the boiler like on the real models, or locomotives I should say rather. There's also a reversing lever there, as you can see, and also you have some other detail on the running plate, and also you can see part of the link motion that comes up above the running plate, and I do like that touch. That really is quite nice, and it adds to the realism of the model. Moving on to the smoke box door, we have a shed code which reads 82F, which is the shed code for Bath on the Somerset and Dorset line, but it was a Somerset and Dorset loco anyway. We also have a separately fitted lamp iron, a separately fitted handrail, and the locomotive's running number 53808 on the front of the smoke box door. There's also some rivets just under the smokebox door as well. The smokebox door itself does not open, but it doesn't have to open, not to make it a stunning model anyway. Moving on to the smokebox itself, we have plenty of rivets on it, as there should be in reality. Then moving on down to the side of the boiler, you have the separately fitted metal handrails, some piping, and also you do have some piping on the boiler that comes down and under the handrails and round the boiler. I can't remember what it's there for, but it's there like on the real things. And it again adds to the realism of the model, and it adds to the detail as well. We also have a nice chimney, which you could fit a smoke generator unit in there if you wanted to, but I'm not going to bother, because I don't do this sort of thing. We also have a nice dome in the middle of the boiler, like there should be. We also have glazing in the cab windows, and turned metal brass safety valves, and the whistle, also made out of turned brass metal. The window rims are also painted gold. Now this is something that they left out on the weathered 7Fs, which is a bit odd, but they're painted like you see on the real 7Fs. Interestingly though, with this one, the side windows weren't painted gold, they were left black. Only the top windows are painted gold, but that doesn't matter to me because I like how they have also painted those gold, because it adds to more detail and it makes them stand out and blend in with the other painted window rims. We also have some more detail on the side of the firebox there. On the cab we have rivets, and also we have a roof vent which doesn't open, but I don't care if it opens or not, at least it's there. Moving on to the cab sides, we have rivets on the bottom, as we can see. We also have a separately fitted metal handrail on the top, and the locomotive's running number crisply printed on the sides of the cab. We also have those all-important cab steps fitted under the model, under the running plates, as you can see there. Then we also have metal handrails that go on the side of the cab and under the cab roof, and I do like that feature. That really does add to the quality of the model. Now just take a look at the cab interior. The inside of the cab is painted cream like it is on the real locomotives. Even the floor has been painted, which you don't see very often. And just look at the rest of the detail in the cab on the firebox. All the gauges, the dials, the regulator, the levers, it's all painted. And it's details like that that really does add to the realism and make the models look more realistic, and it just looks so superb. And if that's not enough for you, the running plate is a folding one and made of metal, and that really is a nice touch to the model, that is. It makes all the difference, details like that. Now you can't not mention the livery in reviews like this, because the livery is just as important as the detail. They have nailed the livery. The livery is spot on. They've got the correct shade of black, and I just love the BR black on locomotives. It just looks so beautiful. It suits the locomotives really well. Some people might not like it, but I don't care, because I really do like the livery, and I don't find nothing wrong with the BR black liveries, because they just look stunning and beautiful. Now we move on to the tender. The tender is covered with rivets, like it is on the real tender. And also there are some separately fitted metal handrails on the tender as well. And on the sides of the tender you have the light crests, crisply printed on the sides. You've also got the tender frames. You've got rivets, axle boxes and springs on it, like there should be. Then you've got these curious bits of details, which I'm not entirely sure what they're for, and you also get them in the detail pack. Don't know what they're there for, but they're there on the model. And also you have metal handrails again. Moving on to the water filler cap. Now, the cap itself doesn't open, but then again it doesn't really need to, because if it did, the price of this model would just rocket up through the roof. But what it does have is some rivets all around the water filler cap. It's hard to see in this photo, but they are there, and it adds to the detail. Then we have the coal load, which has some detail on it, which I think is some sort of coal rail of some sort on it. The coal itself, I'm not sure if it's removable, because that detail part might stop it from being removable, because it's pre-fitted when you first get the model, but as I always add real coal loads in my models anyway, in some cases what I just do is just scatter the real coal over the coal that's already in the tender or the bunker, so here it's not going to really be much of an issue. We've also got some detail on the faceplate of the tender. You can see some coal in the chute there. Also you can just about see the rivets on the tender buffer beam. Also you have that handle from the, well, it transfers the water from the tender to the boiler, and that's been painted up, and you also have some storage cabinets on the front of the tender. Moving on to the back of the tender, we have some rivets on the rear buffer beam, a NEM coupling, a already pre-fitted brake pipe, some separately fitted lamp irons, and also you have the hole in the buffer beam for the other chain link coupling to go into, and the buffers on the tender are sprung like the ones on the Loco were. We also have some other detail which acts as steps for the crew to climb up onto the water filler cap, and also you have some works plates on the back as well. Moving on to the other side of the model, the detail is pretty much the same on the tender, and on the other side of the Loco it's the same, other than the fact that on this side it doesn't have the pipe work. One thing that is worth mentioning now, on this side of the Locomotive, you have this little works plate. Now I can't read what it says on it, but it's there and it adds to the detail. It looks really nice. We now come on to the running performance of this model. As you can see, we put the model through its paces on the layout, light engine without any stock, and it ran around the layout faultlessly, which is what we want when we first get these models. And I say that because when we first get these brand new models, we expect them to run smoothly, just like is the case with this model. Then we carried out the loaded test run of the model. The 7F was coupled to the rake of maroon coaches, and it was able to pull them with ease without any issues, which is why the weight is important, as it shows, because without the weight, the model wouldn't simply be able to pull any of these coaches. So overall, I cannot pick a fault with the Bachmann 7F. It is not hard to see why it won Model of the Year 2010. Stunning detail, superb performance. This review says it all. It just can't be faulted. It's a stunning model, and I know I've been saying that a lot lately in these reviews, but it is a stunning model, and it's highly recommended by me. And if you do get one of these yourself, then you will not be disappointed. Well done, Bachmann. You have created a superb model. So overall, I rate the Bachmann 7F 10 out of 10. This has been Class 47 Peter, reviewing the 7F, and I'll see you again next time when I review the Hornby 8F. But until then, I'll see you again soon. Ta-ra.